Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I am Mick Alphanim. Now, let's begin here. This article is on U.Today and it's titled, "Here's how XRP holders might receive Flare tokens after distribution threshold is reached." So let's read a little bit about this. You know, Flare is a very interesting project. I'm very excited to see what results from this. Decentralized interoperability. There's so many different ways that they're utilizing what I would call staking, right? So, I mean, you have some staking options, I believe. Listen, don't quote me on these things. I'm not a Flare expert. There are channels that have been covering Flare since last year in the beginning. They're pretty much Flare experts. I'm just giving my humble thoughts. But it seems like you have a lot of options for staking. Then you have like the delegation and such like that. So in other words, there's a lot of different ways that they're trying to lock up value with some of these particular coins. I think it's gonna be very interesting, but we'll give them time to show themselves. One thing I do know, I see a lot of this. It's my humble opinion. Flare and Quant are not in competition. Like, people have to get this tribalism out of their heads. I'm telling you, this is how you miss out on some money. Everything in the new financial system works together. So you see, Ripple believes in Flare, right? So their what do you call it? Their investment branch provided funding for Flare, correct? All right, so Ripple believes in Flare, but Ripple also is in cahoots in business with Quant. Quant has Overledger. Well, I probably shouldn't say in business with Quant, right? But Quant has Overledger for XRP. They all work together. They all flow together and they all do different things. Quant is a bridgeless system. That's important. The banks will not be using bridges. Bridges, and if they do, they're foolish. Bridges have been getting hacked. I'm not sure what Flare is, right? Like I said, I'm not a Flare expert, but let's read this little tidbit here. But what I'm saying is Flare and Quant are not in competition. They both will do their fair share of winning, but also Quant has major partnerships. Give Flare some time to develop. We will watch. We will stay on top of the catalysts. We will stay on top of the partnerships, and we will adjust accordingly. That's all I'm saying. Give these people some time to develop before you start comparing them to some of these big dogs. Now, it says this FIPO1 proposal, if passed, consists of a set of changes that will impact the distribution and inflation of the Flare blockchain's native token FLR, together with the changes in payout structure and recipients of the cross-chain incentive pool. In voting phase, 85% of all Flare belonging to Flare entities and teams are escrowed and cannot vote. The Flare Foundation's related entities may not vote. Says here in a thread of tweets, Hugo Fillion, co-founder of and CEO of Flare Network, highlights the benefits and demerits of the proposal for XRP holders who participated in the 2020 snapshot. Let's scroll down here. There was some interesting stuff. This is on U.Today. It's on their front page. If you want to give this a read, it's a very good article here. It says XRP holders would need to wrap their Flare tokens to receive full and final distribution. Flare must be wrapped to receive the full and final distribution. Depending on participation, you may end with less than expected under the 2020 snapshot. Now, they say that there, but then listen to this. They say this. On the other hand, the benefits are it removes the risk of reliance on exchanges that may fail. That's interesting. Depending on participation, you may end up with more Flare than expected under the 2020 snapshot. Receiving more Flare tokens is dependent on whether the level of staking, so there is staking, right, on Flare is anywhere near the industry average. Like I said, I'm going to really be diving deep into Flare. Just personally, I don't know how much I'm going to cover it on the channel, but just personally, like I said, there's channels that are like, they're experts at Flare, all right? So I'm just let them do that. But personally, I want to know a little bit more. I'm going to dive a little deep in it. I know I have a lot of recommendations that people have been asking me to look into certain things, and I have. It takes me a while to look into something and really say, okay, it's a solid project, or if it's not a solid project, I just leave it alone, truth be told. But just to give you an example how deep I go, I was looking at Zenfin and XDC for a long time. I mean, like maybe about a year, probably about a year. I was watching them closely before I was just like, yep, they're Bankcoins, they're Bankcoin family. They started doing major deals, bringing in major partnerships. That's what's important to me. I need to see those partnerships. I need to see activity. It's not just what you say. Everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people can weave a good story. I need to see activity, action, prove it to me. then I'm more on board to say, okay, yes, you're going somewhere, such like that. And, you know, so let's move on to another article here. How you guys doing today on this Saturday? Doing well? Doing good? I hope so. Hope so. I hope everybody out there is doing well. Shout out to everyone who's always showing me love. Matthew, Akareko, Marky Mark, Love Life 22, Blockchain 663. I'm trying to get to everybody. Infinity Warrior, Nick, Asti. Man, there's so many. I have so many. Look, my whole YouTube family, all my members only family, and everybody out there who's ever shown me love. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate that. It keeps me going and it fires me up to give you the best content that I can. Okay, now let's get back to these articles here. I just want to make sure I'm showing love as much as I can. That's just personally how I feel. This article is also on U.Today. Ripple lawsuit settlement with SEC might include this agreement per John Deaton. Let's see what they're talking about here. What is going on today? Crypto law founder and blockchain enthusiast John Deaton responds to a question on the chances of the judge ruling that the Hinman documents should remain sealed, sparking up a potential settlement in the Ripple lawsuit. You think that would be the tipping point? Well, let me hold my thoughts for a moment. Let's see what more they have to say here. So someone tweeted to John Deaton, any chance that this judge rules on keeping the Hinman documents sealed? I'm thinking this may jumpstart a potential settlement. Is it possibly for a settlement between them that would include them not being accessible to the public, or is it too late? And here's John Deaton's actual response from his Twitter. If there is a settlement, it would include an agreement to not disclose any documents received during litigation of the case. But Ripple isn't going to be the only company that seeks disclosure of those documents. Other defendants sued by the SEC will. FOIA litigation, Freedom of Information Act, FOIA litigation, etc. Okay. Deaton replied that a settlement in such a scenario would include an agreement not to disclose. That makes perfect sense. In my humble opinion, it makes sense. It makes sense. Let's scroll down here, see if there's anything else potent about this. So far, everything's continuing to go good. As reported by U.Today, John Deaton, in his 2023 predictions, believes that the Ripple case might not settle until after a decision is gotten from Judge Torres. This reinforces Deaton's belief that a court verdict might be more likely than a settlement. That's what I'm saying. We can win this case. I'm with Deaton here. I think we can win this case. A court verdict. Listen, win or lose, we're going in there fighting. We came in fighting, and if we go down, we'll go down fighting. But I believe we're coming out with the victory. They're going to have to take the victory. Simple as that. I'm not conceding anything to the enemy at all. We're going to win. Now, it says in a thread of tweets at the start of January, Deaton emphasized that the lawsuit might not settle because of the Hinman emails. The reason he says the case would have settled if the emails were damaging, as most think, and they would not have been turned over to Ripple. After motions for summary judgment and those to exclude expert testimony have been fully briefed, the sealing disputes remain the pending issue in the Ripple lawsuit. In the week, the SEC filed its response in partial opposition to Ripple defendants' motion to seal certain documents filed in connection with the parties' cross motions for summary judgment. In recent updates, Ripple has filed a redacted motion to exclude the testimony of an SEC expert. Well, obviously, it must not have been that important, and the accompanying exhibits from the public docket. All right, so listen, everything seems to be going good so far. Obviously, we've been bringing in a multitude of partnerships, which is interesting that we've been learning about all these partnerships with banks. And this is before they win the SEC case. Can you imagine after they win the SEC case? All right, so now let's move on to here. So here, they have a tweet here that says, join us for 2022-2023 Drone Racing League, #Algorand World Championship SIM Live. Event on 2/4 at Esports Stadium, Arlington in Arlington, Texas. Listen, I love activity like this, but what really stands out to me is the advertising and getting of the name out there. Don't worry, we're going to have a lot more advertising in the future. Advertising is very good because you want more people to utilize your blockchain. How are they going to learn about your blockchain if there's no advertisement? Now, you could try to rely on external entities that are building on the chain, but then they may not have the funding for mass advertisement. So then how are you going to help the unbanked? See, Algorand understands that. The unbanked people that may be in impoverished environments, maybe they're not so impoverished, but they just don't have access, right? They need to be told that these things exist in order to know to utilize them. So Algorand, while they're at the top and they're bringing in banks, they also have not forgot the people at the bottom. They've made that very clear. So when it comes to those type of people and banking the unbanked, which they have not forgotten about, advertising is important because then they won't know to utilize your service. It's the same thing that I would believe that Stellar, another bank coin that says they want to bank the unbanked, they're going to have to do that same thing. It's as simple as that. They're going to have to, because in a lot of impoverished environments, there's no MoneyGram. All right. You're going to have to let them know, hey, these are different offerings we have. If you'd like to use our chain, send money back and forth, or use these accounts as an alternative to bank accounts, you have to let the people know. They won't know. Sure, you can have those mainstream offerings like MoneyGram, or, then you're working with the big banks and stuff like that, IBM, Lightnet, such like that. But when it comes to those environments that don't have access or are impoverished, you're going to have to let them know how to use these particular things and that they exist. Or why, listen, let's say you go through a traditional offering. Those people are going to look at it as a traditional offering and say, well, we didn't use it before. Why would we use it now? You're going to have to explain why they should want to use it now. That's going to come through advertising. It's going to come through explaining. Maybe you have a couple commercials, not just static advertisements. You're going to have a couple commercials to explain why this is better now. And that is going to have to entail describing the benefits of Stellar, Algorand. So it's like Algorand's on top of it. They're doing what they have to do. So that's why this is good. It's the small details. You have to look beyond the superficial. This is personally how I look at it. And Algorand's been doing a fantastic job, in my humble opinion. Now let's go on to here. If you haven't seen this video, you want to watch this video. It was powerful, in my humble opinion. Algorand released this tweet here. It says at Stacy W_DC, Stacy Wharton and Jack Farley of Blockworks sat down to discuss Algorand's plans for mass adoption in 2023. Listen, let me sum everything up by saying what Stacy Wharton described was nothing less than absolute domination. And that's what I wanted to hear. I wanted to hear about domination. I wanted to hear, hey, we're hungry. We're still going out there. We're going to do the best. She gave praise to regular Algorand, Algorand Inc. She laid out her background, which, by the way, I told you before, this is a winner we're talking about with extensive experience. So when she was talking about it, she actually had to stop and say, hey, hold on, I might be listening to too many of my accolades. No, you're not. No, you're not. Listen. Those of us out there who are visionaries and we won multiple times in multiple markets, we know we're looking for good teams. The teams are the ones that bring in the partnerships, the brilliant minds, the experience, like Stacy Wharton's. That's who brings in the partnerships. That's who lays out the vision. That's who motivates everybody and keeps them building on the blockchain. People like Stacy Wharton, Silvio McCauley. Then you go over to other blockchains, Brad Garlinghouse, Lehman Bears of the Hederas, the Gilbert Verdians of Quant. These individuals who are fired up, but they have the minds and the vision to see. I loved every little bit of this, and I'm even more excited about the future of Algorand. I told you, we have the absolute best team right now. You haven't seen anything yet. They told you they got some surprises that they're going to unveil in 2023. I'm not even concerned about that because everything that they do has been positive for growth. So I love that. Let's continue on here. So then you have this tweet also from Algorand. Algorand has a lot of music offerings. I want that music money as well. If it's money on the table, and not only listen, I'm just sharing my personal perspective, but of course, the artists are going to be helped exponentially. The music industry is going to be helped exponentially because there's a lot of people don't even really listen to music anymore. They try to stay away from it. Because a lot of what's promoted now is not really the music that the people of old really loved or the people who are more meek really love. So now with decentralized music, what they were saying here in Napster is they're going to be pushing discoverability to the forefront. So all the new artists, new music, it might be experimental, maybe it's old school, avant-garde, like everybody will have an equal opportunity to display their music. That's something that's really good. that I think a lot of music artists are going to like. They're going to say, wait a minute. Maybe I want to use this Napster that's on Algorand now because I want a fair chance that my music will be heard. I want a fair chance to make some money as well. That's another thing. So on decentralized protocol, you're going to be selling your music a lot of times, I believe, as NFTs. Of course, I believe they may have some type of streaming activity going on as well, but you can sell your music as NFTs. I'm not saying specifically on Napster, but a lot of these music offerings, you can do that. So it allows the artist to make a fair amount of money. That's going to bring a lot of people in as this becomes more and more mainstream. So I like what I heard from this video about Napster. I think they're going to do well. We'll see. But you have Napster on Algorand right now. You have Dequency on Napster, Dequency on Algorand right now. And there's another one, Napster, Dequency. Oh, you have LimeWire on Algorand right now. So they're dominating when it comes to music. And then the other day we saw who was getting in deep with music also. Hedera now is getting deep with music. The music landscape is there for the taking. So everybody's trying to take a little piece of it while they can. That's good money that's on the table. The music industry itself, the legacy system music industry, has been ailing for a long time. So I think this is going to be very good. We'll keep our eye on it and just see where it goes. Okay. So now we get to a little bit of Stellar news. Stellar. This is from their blog. Okay. Now I actually got to this from this tweet here. Let's begin with this tweet here. It says here, warm welcome to our newest tech content creator, Veronica Irwin. All right. It says some personal news. Excited to say that I started this week as the technical content creator at Stellar Org. So this will be interesting. We'll see what Veronica brings to the table. I'm always excited to see something new happen. But when I went to Veronica's Twitter, just to get a little bit of info on what tweets she's been putting out, maybe a little bit on her background, something of that nature. I usually do that with all people that come to the blockchains that I'm not familiar with. Then there was a tweet that led me to this post here. This is from stellar.org and it's titled, Bringing Stellar Aid Assist to a Global Forum. Now, a lot of you probably have already read this. Also, there's a lot of great Stellar content creators that probably have covered this. I'm not covering the whole thing. I want to go right to this little piece here. If you scroll down, I'm very specific. You scroll down, there's a little piece here that starts with Davos convenes representatives. Now, they just put out a tweet this morning saying they landed in Davos today. I think that was about 3 hours ago. Big money is in Davos. You think that's not why Stellar's there? Let's read this little piece here. They're telling there's a lot going on. It says Davos convenes representatives from across government, business, and civil society to address the state of the world and discuss priorities for the year ahead. Leaders of aid organizations and government agencies from around the world, the potential users of Stellar Aid Assist, will be there to hear about how they can leverage this solution for those who need quicker, more transparent, and more accessible forms of aid disbursement. Let me stop right there. Listen, this is great. and I hope they do a great job with this. That's number one. But Stellar, you think that that's all they're going to talk about? They're not going to talk about their CBDC offerings with these individuals as well? When you sit in a meeting, when you sit in a briefing, of course you have your main topic, but you also highlight your other offerings. There's no doubt in my mind they're going to discuss their CBDC offerings. No doubt in my mind. Their digital offerings. How the ease of issuing assets on Stellar is the absolute easiest and best, and you're in control. No, you don't need these other blockchains. You're in control when you build on Stellar. And you issue an asset on Stellar, or you back an asset with a commodity on Stellar. You're in control. They already let us know they love that. Stellar's going to let them hear more of that, in my humble opinion. No guarantees, not financial advice, in my humble opinion. That's number two. Number three, the whole idea of banking the unbanked. You think they're not going to float that and say, hey, listen, we have more nodes than ever right now, nodes and corridors where we can access the unbanked more now than ever. And we can bring this to you if you're utilizing Stellar. I mean, all of these good things, I think they're going to be highlighting. So in other words, I believe firmly that they're not just going to Davos for one reason. That's illogical to think so. No, they're bringing all of the positives of Stellar to everyone that they're going to meet at Davos. The same way that Quant said that they were going out there to all of these different panels to bring in new clients. It's the same across the board. Don't think different. Don't let don't let people use their words like magic and then turn your head this way while they're going that way. So let's read a little bit more here. It says the potential users of Stellar 8 Assist will be there to hear about how they can leverage this solution. I promise you, they're going to hear about all of the different solutions Stellar provides, not just Stellar 8 Assist, but that might be the crux. That might be what gets them in the door. But that's not going to be the only thing. We already know Stellar is beloved by the World Economic Forum. We already know that. On the list of crypto, that the World Economic Forum, where all these presidents and prime ministers, you can't get around it. All those people are going there. So it's major. But on that list of crypto that they said that they enjoyed was XRP, Stellar XLM, Cello is on there, XDC, almost all the bank coins. XDC was on there. They wrote a whole page on XDC. There's a few more on there, but Stellar XLM was on there. So they're already loved and they're willing to hear them out a little bit more. They're in Davos. So let's continue on here. This gets me excited. It says those responsible for creating an enabling environment for blockchain innovations like 8 Assist to flourish will also be there. So they're forming Voltron. They're saying, listen, we're not the only ones who are going to be there, but the people who allowed this and made this possible and opened the door for us are going to be there. And they're going to back us up. That's what that means. That's how I interpret it. You tell me what your interpretation is. It says, we'll also be there. And I hope to share the same message I always have with this audience. I told you this is about all their use cases. Look at it. Look at this. That real world use cases for blockchain and crypto like this are live today. Use cases, multiple. So it's not just, they're not just going to be talking about this. Danielle Dixon is going to be bringing up the use cases, multiples. All right, sorry about that. I'm not as eloquent as I usually am today. My apologies, but I think you get what I'm saying, right? Providing access to better financial service. I told you, man. I told you. Stellar's going, going for it. Go for it, Stellar. Do what you do. All right. They're going to keep it quiet, too. They get any partnerships. You know how Stellar does. Shh. Look at Soroban over it. Like, they're going to point you to Soroban. Look at Soroban. While they're over here dealing with these banks and governments, you know, they're going to point you in this direction. That's what Stellar, sneaky Stellar, but keep doing a good job. Says better financial services for those who have been underserved by traditional financial infrastructure. I told you, the unbanked. This is their crux. They have access to so many corridors. I'm telling you, this is big money. This is trillions of dollars. You know, who was it? It was Crypto Raider. Crypto Raider on Crypto Raider's Twitter had posted, and I retweeted it, by the way, posted this document about the unbanked. Listen. The people who know. Now, this may take some time. This is a long hold, of course. Of course, I also believe that Stellar's price is going to go up. This is my humble opinion. It's not financial advice. Doesn't matter to me whether you buy XLM or sell XLM. Doesn't matter to me at all. You make your own decision, okay? It's not that kind of channel. But XLM always goes up when XRP goes up. It doesn't go up as much as XRP, but it goes up when XRP goes up. And I think XRP is poised for an explosion coming soon, especially if there's a positive outcome to that case. So that also plays a key role. All right. So Davos is the chance for us to teach the very audience that could set Stellar 8 Assist as a standard bearer. Ooh, they're trying to take the top spot. Do what you do, Stellar. Oh yeah, I like what I hear. I like it a lot. Anyway, let's go on to another article here. I enjoy covering Stellar so much I can linger for too long. Okay, let's go move on here. What else do we have? Okay, so then we have the esteemed Carmel Cadet of Emtech, who builds on Hedera and pushes Hedera as an infrastructure everywhere around the world. Hbar is gonna go far, in my humble opinion. This will begin like 2 or 3 chapters about Hedera now. Decentralized yet private access to CBDC is possible with aligned regional policy, the hashtag REACH policy, plus hashtag fintech ecosystem. Many fintechs are lining up to be CBDC service providers. That's going to be major. Look how Carmel Cadet is telling you what's going to happen. She's telling you what's happening right now. People don't get it though. They don't get it. They're looking at this money they're looking at the market go up a little bit now. They're excited about that. You haven't seen anything until this utility run hits. You haven't seen anything. I don't know. I can't proclaim to you when it's going to happen exactly, when moon. I can't proclaim to you. But what I can say is you personally, like I'm doing, can watch the catalyst. And so far, the progression has been moving rapidly. Now, you don't want it to move too rapidly because we need things to go off smoothly. But once that utility kicks in and that money is flowing, it's going to be massive. I think some of these projects are going to move like you've never seen before. Let's say something like Quant. Like I said, you think Bitcoin is something? Quant has a lower circulating supply than Bitcoin and yet has more utility than Bitcoin. Not only that, a lot of these different bank coins, I personally believe, are going to be locked up in closed ecosystems. They're going to take an allotment and it's going to be locked up in there. That means that circulating supply is going to go down. Some of these bank coins could possibly be very rare. Very rare. Which would do what to that price? Muy lindo, mi gente, if that happens. Raise a toe. Raise a toe. They will raise. Not a guarantee, not financial advice. I'm just saying. Now, let's continue on here. It says many fintechs are lining up to be CBDC service providers. Identity, data protection, payments, investments, crypto conversion, cross-border, benefits distribution. She ended off with the hands up. Yes, 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 yes. That's what I like to hear. Emtech, oh my goodness, Emtech is one of the best companies out there, hands down. They work the hardest. Do you see how many different unveilings they have? How many different deals they brought to Hedera? How many different banks they have utilizing the digital sandbox? Keep an eye on Emtech's activities. That's all I'm saying. And I have a lot of respect for Carmel Cadet. Let's move on here a little bit. There's another tweet from Hedera. It says, over the past 24 hours, the Hedera network has processed more than 50 million transactions, averaging 578 TPS and hitting as high as 2,824 transactions per second. That's major. This is good. This is like the test before mainstream adoption, which I believe is going to happen with regulatory clarity. But, you know, we'll see. We'll keep an eye on that. But this is major. Remember, Hashgraph is superior to blockchain, not equal, superior to blockchain. Although they're both distributed ledger technologies, a lot of people confuse Hedera with being a blockchain. It is not. It's a DLT, but it's Hashgraph. And my, oh my, it is powerful beyond measure. And this is why so many banks have been getting involved with Hedera as of the last, I will say, last half of a year to 3/4 of a year. They've been getting in heavy. You saw what they're doing in the main region, didn't you? So this is one of those reasons why they're ready for massive traffic. So now let's go to this next little tweet from Hedera. This is from the Hbar Foundation, actually. And it says here, we're excited to announce that at Astra Nova, the meta RPG game building on Unreal Engine 5, hashtag UE5 Unreal Engine, has moved development from Ethereum to the Hedera network. Now, if you don't know Unreal Engine, I've actually toyed with Unreal Engine before. Unreal Engine, and then I also use Unity, but I do like Unreal Engine better. But if you don't know, Unreal Engine is that one that game making system where stuff looks extremely realistic. It was made very popular and famous when they came out with that Matrix game where it looked like Keanu Reeves. It really like in real life. That's Unreal Engine. So I'd like to see what this looks like if they're using UE5 and you know, this is going to be on Hedera. This could be very interesting. But Hedera has been expanding rapidly. They're getting money at the top and money at the bottom. You see them, and I think that they're following in the footsteps of Algorand. I'm going to say it. I really do. Algorand has laid the foundation, has blazed the path for all other bank coins to follow. They're in deep with the banks. right? They're in deep with traceability. They're in deep with the music industry. They're in deep with the sports industry. They're in deep with the gaming industry. All five early. They've been deep in those ways, in all of those different sectors since last year. And now you see Hedera doing the same. Hedera is now deep with the banks. Hedera is now deep in it, trying to get deep into video games. Hedera is now trying to get deep in the music industry. Do you see? And if that were to occur, then that could definitely, in the future, given time, okay, let's think logically, rationally here, but given time, that could definitely affect that price of Hbar. This is good. The more traffic, the more offerings we have on these blockchains, the better. All right, now let's move on here. So I want to get to this Quant news here. I skipped like 2 tabs here because I don't want to keep you all here too long today, but I want to get to the most important news here. Now, this tweet is from Quant, and it says commercial banks and payment companies would not be disintermediated. Quote, instead, they retain clear roles and responsibilities with plenty of room for competition and innovation within the ecosystem. And this was an interview done with American Banker, which is interesting. We've covered American Banker articles a lot of times here, but then we stay very close to the banking news. And here you have Quant saying this on American Banker. So they want the other bankers to hear this information. This is interesting. And it goes along with what the Bank of International Settlements was saying since last year. They want to retain their role, right? They don't really want to, the central banks don't want to take on more burden than necessary. They don't want to overburden their employees. So what they want truly is to be handed an easily utilized infrastructure, which is what you see Hedera doing via Emtech, what you see Ripple doing now. They have digital sandbox, but they already have infrastructures ready to roll out. This is what you saw IBM doing when they were talking about XLM. In the different ways they were using Stellar Protocol, they already had the infrastructure set up. All they had to do was provide it. At least that's what they said. It's what you see Algorand doing. Okay, so this is what they're saying. Let the fintechs do their job, and we'll hand you this infrastructure where everything just functions. There's very little you have to do, so your role remains clear. You won't be displaced. You won't be disrupted the way that you could be, and they could be. But it will complement you. This is what Gilbert Verdian is trying to tell them. And the message has been getting across. It's very clear. You see him having more and more meetings with banks and with bankers, with large financial institutions, also large non-banking financial institutions. So Quant has been doing a great job, in my humble opinion. So then we have another tweet from Quant. And it says here, a CBDC network between central banks and commercial banks would use private blockchains. Let me stop right there. So what is interesting with that is the possibility of closed ecosystems. So when they say private, use private blockchains, to me, I hear closed ecosystems. Now, there still has to be clarity on closed ecosystems. In a closed ecosystem, whatever they're using, that allotment, I believe, is permanently taken out of circulation. Like I said, I need clarity on that. So I'm going to continue to research that and see if I can drudge up whether that's accurate or not, but I believe that it is. So that definitely has an effect on the price of whatever's left in the market as that circulating supply goes down, right? Because you're snatching this particular allotment of coins out of the circulating supply. You don't want to have to ever worry about buying again. You bought enough for your closed ecosystem. You get what I'm saying? You've purchased enough, and now that's just constantly in circulation. You get that? All right. So, like I said, I need clarity on that, but it's something that has been in my mind for quite some time. Now, one might say, well, it doesn't matter because the allotment that's still in circulating supply out there in the public on the exchanges and such, that price is still going to fluctuate. Definitely it could. But if all of these different banks around similar time periods are taking large allotments of the bank coins into closed ecosystems, right, just to have in circulation between themselves, and they're using instant settlement, then no volatility matters anyway. But it's still, because those things are not available for purchase, it still would affect that price. That price will still go up. You get what I'm saying? So they're not affected, but the price is still affected. That's a great thing if it does play out that way. Of course, we'll just keep our eyes open. We'll continue to educate ourselves on these matters, and we'll adjust accordingly. All right, so now we're going to close out here with a little bit of gold news. Gold's been doing a very good job these days. I like to talk about gold because gold makes me happy, right? It makes you happy too. Now, don't try to lie to yourself. Gold makes you happy too. So this is from investing.com. Gold nears 9-month high and $1,950 test on softening U.S. inflation. That's questionable. But, you know, people are going by what they are provided in data. I would disagree with a lot of that data. I think a lot of the videos out there floating around when it comes to food and inflationary prices, I think what people would disagree on that as well. Like I said, whether you consider it to be a corporate thing or governmental thing, hey, price is still going up. And plateauing does not mean that it's going down. It just means that it plateaued. Historically speaking, but anyway, you guys have heard what I've said before. Historically speaking, look at the historical chart. Every time inflation as of recent has plateaued, it has gone up again. Especially if you're going to have the Fed taking their foot off of inflation's neck. That's questionable. We will see. But this is something we're going to have to watch throughout 2023. Now, it says gold neared a 9-month high on Friday, approaching the key $1,950 an ounce resistance as softening U.S. inflation and rate hike expectations boosted contrarian safe haven trades. Gold for February delivery on New York's COMEX settled at $1,921.70, up $22.90. Looking good, or 1.2% on the day. Its session high of $1,925.25 was the loftiest for a front month contract in COMEX gold since the April 25th peak of $1,935.50. U.S. gold futures have risen 5% since 2023, extending their near 4% gain from December and 7% from November. The spot price of gold more followed than futures by some traders, which is interesting, was at $1,919.54, up $22.63, or 1.2% on the day. Spot gold's intraday peak was $1,921.97, also the highest since April 25th. Now, this is a great article here. If you want to read the rest of that article, it's on investing.com. It was right on their front page when I found it. They have a lot more here. They talk about CPI and different things like that. Very good article. Make sure you give them some traffic. So now let's end off with just a little bit more gold news. Now, this is from home.saxo, all right? And the article goes as such. Commodity Weekly. Gold and copper in focus as rally extends further. Summary. The Bloomberg Commodity Index trades up 2.4% on the week, reversing some of its early January losses. This comes after the energy sector, natural gas being the exception, joined an ongoing rally across metals, led by gold and copper, driven by a softer dollar as U.S. inflation eases. Okay, so let's scroll down here. Just see. I want to see a little bit about copper. Here we go. Okay, now you're talking my language. Here we go. Copper, the star performer on China reopening hopes. I know we covered gold in the first one. I think they're going to say the same thing about gold. That's why I'm just going to jump into copper because I really want to know about copper. Copper has led a strong start to 2023 for industrial metal prices on hopes of a potential surge in demand from China, the world's top consumer. This buoyed by the reopening of China's economy and increased policy support to fuel an economic recovery to offset the economic fallout from President Xi's failed and now abruptly abandoned zero COVID policies. I should have said redacted. This optimism has been mixing with a weaker dollar on speculation that the Federal Reserve is slowing down the pace of future rate hikes that we know. VanEck Global Mining, UCITS ETF, which includes titans like BHP, Rio Tinto, Glencore, Vale, and Freeport McMoran, trades up 10.5% so far this month, a 9-month high. Ooh. Glencore makes around 40% of its revenue from copper, while BHP makes 26.7%, and Rio makes 11%. In addition, the iron ore futures traded in Singapore have cleared $125 per ton for the first time in 6 months, in anticipation of a strong seasonal pickup in demand following the Lunar New Year holiday. The initial and strong rally in copper has primarily been driven by technical and speculative traders, expecting demand from China to underpin prices in the coming months. Copper up close to 10% this month, trades near a 7-month high, with the latest run-up occurring when the price broke above the 200-day moving average. Now support at $3.83 per pound. Since then, momentum and technical buying has seen the HG copper contract break several resistance points, the latest being $4.08 per pound. The 50% retracement of the 2022 sell-off before seeing the next extension potentially towards $4.31 per pound. The metal may need to cool off. I was thinking the same thing. The metal may need to cool off, allowing for a retracement lower towards the $4 per pound area. This is on home.saxo. All right. It was right on the front page there. Holy smokes. They're doing a tremendous job over there. There's so much more to this article. They even cover crude oil in this article. My goodness. This is a potent article. Hey, Saxo, I'll be checking you out a little bit more. All right. So now that you have that information, what are you going to do with it? I know what I'm going to do with it. So until next time, let's get to the money.